Content is intended to provide accurate information, however, is not intended as financial, tax, or legal advice. Please consult a financial, legal, or tax professional for specific information regarding your individual situation. Opinions expressed and provided are for general informational purposes only and should not be considered a solicitation for the purchase or sale of any security.
Cornerstone Retirement Partners presents Your Course to Retirement with Grand Rapids Certified Financial Planner Ron Corser and Nolan Gosley. Cornerstone Retirement Partners are planning today for the potential of tomorrow.
And welcome into the program. This is your Course to Retirement with Grand Rapids, resource for that common sense approach to planning, bringing it down to earth and uncomplicating the financial world. He is CFP, Certified Financial Planner and founder of Cornerstone Retirement Partners. Ron Corser here with us. Always a pleasure, Ron.
Good morning, Peter, and good morning to everybody listening to today's program. And for those of you who are on your way to church and you tell me you tune in the first part, today's program will be available on our website, cornerstoneretirementpartners-rp.com. But you know what I want to chat about today? We're going to have a good program. I think we always have a good program, but I'm kind of biased. Here's what's going on around me and what I hear from clients and potential clients. There's a lot of uncertainty, a lot of frustration, a lot of the question, are we going to be okay? Are we going to get through this? Is the insanity going to stop? Will it get worse? All of those things bundled up create a lot of uncertainty. And for our clients who are getting ready to retire 2 to 3 years from now, and those that are in retirement, those questions are still there. The ones that have the best handle or grasp of peace, something called peace of mind, is the ones who followed what we're going to talk about today, which is the 10 steps to prepare for retirement. These aren't necessarily things that says, you know, buy low, sell high in the stock market kinds of things, but they're more fundamental planning issues that everybody has to take hold of, to grab onto, to do. And here's the promise I'll make to everybody. We're going to try to get through all 10 of these. If we don't, and you'd like this one-page paper that lists them all, just go to our website, www.cornerstone-rp.com, or call us at 616-301-2581, 616-301-2581, and ask for this 10 steps to prepare for retirement. It's a simple checklist for you, but this is the promise I'll make. For those of you who are thinking about retirement, for those of you concerned about it, for those of you who just don't know what to do, because we live in crazy times. I tell people in our office, this is like Alice in Wonderland on street drugs. 20 years ago, I don't think anybody could have imagined this kind of scenario we're living in, where black is white, white is black, yes is no, no is yes, and all those things. So here's what I'd like you to do. If you want to know what these 10 steps are and you're able to listen to today's program, kind of get out a piece of paper or pencil just to jot some things down. But if you just like this little simple one page, what I think is a great directional way to deal with retirement. It's called the 10 Steps to Prepare for Retirement. Call us at 616-301-2581 or go to our website, www.cornerstone-rp.com, and we'll send it to you. No charge at all. So let's start here, Peter, with what we're going to do. This is all about trying to create peace of mind now. That's what we're trying to create here. A sense that if I've gone through all of this, I've handled as many of the things on which I have control. You know, believe it or not, I don't have control over what the federal government does. I only have control over what, in my own personal life, what my wife Nancy and I do or what we do in our firm. So let's control the things we can control, because if we do that, that'll minimize the impact of things we can't control on our life and our retirement plan. So we're going to be talking about peace of mind here and control. And the first issue that we really have to do is talk about a word that sometimes people think is a 4-letter word, but it's called define your budget. What does that mean? It's not a sense, right? People meet with me and I beat them up over the head and say, you got to have a budget. You got to know everything. Most people already are living on a budget. A lot of people don't like the word. A lot of people don't want to feel as if they're being forced to be something or someone that they're not comfortable with. But everybody defines how they live. They have a budget. Think about this. If, Peter, you're working, whether you know it or not, you know how much money generally is coming in every month into your bank account from wages. You know pretty much how much is going out every month. You know what that's called? It's called a budget. It doesn't mean you have 6 spreadsheets tracking every penny. It means that you know approximately what amount of money you need every month after tax, after saving for retirement, the stuff you bring home in your paycheck. You know how much you need to maintain your lifestyle. It's that simple. How do you maintain your lifestyle? By having enough income coming in today so that you can retire tomorrow. And you need to know that number because nobody wants to go back in time or in style with their lifestyle. And importantly, we don't want to have something called runaway expenses happen either, or just spending with no idea of where we're going. So knowing your budget, which is really your number, is really important. And if you know that number, it makes it so much easier to plan for your financial future. Sometimes when people go to a website or our website, they want to know how much money they need to retire. And they put in all their information, age, when they retire, how much they spend. And what does it kick out? It says you need $1 million or you need $2 million. Not that many people have $1 million or $2 million. And so what I tell folks is that's really not a smart way to look at what your number is. Your number is how much money do you need coming in every day, every month to maintain your lifestyle. That's your number, ladies and gentlemen. And once you know that number, then all of a sudden it's like a funnel. You start to pour things into that funnel and it keeps going down and down and down. And eventually by the end of this program, you'll see you have a retirement plan. And it's a rational retirement plan. It's a soundly created retirement plan. It's doable and it's understandable. So the first part of this is define your budget. That means define what your number is. Know that number, know it well.
But I think that if we define the spending plan, how much it takes for us to live, then we've got the guardrails, right? And we know that we can work within them and we can change lanes. We could go to the slow lane, we could go to the fast lane, but we're still heading in the right direction so long as we've got that spending plan to give us that guidance.
We do. And once you have the spending plan, then comes the next step. And that's define your sources of guaranteed income. What are those? It could be a pension if you're blessed to have that. It is actually Social Security. And one of the things that our company, what we do, and we do it free of charge, is we do for everybody who's thinking about joining our firm or comes in for a review and hasn't had one, we do a Social Security analysis for people. Why? I think it's a really important thing to do because that's part of your spending plan, but it's also part of the plan that says, I'm going to create in this figuring out where I'm getting all my guaranteed income from. I'm going to have to determine the timing on when I take money out of different things. When am I going to take my pension? What's the best plan for my wife and me, if we're a couple, to take our Social Security benefit to give us the maximum benefit over our lifetime? That's the kind of planning we help people do. So defining your sources of income, guaranteed income, is where's the pension money if you have it? Do you have some annuities that you purchased, put money into while you were working? That's another source. And what about Social Security? So you put all those sources of guaranteed income or predictable income coming in, and you total them up. What's it going to bring you on a monthly basis? And then here comes the really simple math. You compare your spending plan with the guaranteed income plan that you have. What's coming in? Now, if all the sources of your guaranteed income exceed your spending plan, oh my goodness, congratulations. You're going to live large and live well in retirement because you've got your number and you've got all the income you need. And I've been blessed to have folks like that join our firm where they've worked very hard for different companies. They may have, I have one person that has 3 different pensions. They're just living on that and Social Security.
Now, Ron, you mentioned that not everybody has the $1 million or the $2 million, but for those of us that chose a career path or were lucky enough to work with a corporation that offers that pension, or even working for government positions that has that pension, the equivalent value of how much money we would have had to have saved personally is pretty substantial when you look at the amount of income that we're projected to be able to receive and count on reliably when we receive that pension check.
Yeah, that's a great kind of an idea. Let me try to do this on radio, right? It's going to be hard, but I'll try. So those of you who are sitting at your kitchen table listening, grab a pencil and a piece of paper. We're going to do some arithmetic. It's not going to be serious arithmetic. It's not going to be Chinese arithmetic or differential calculus, which leads me to ask the question, has anybody ever used algebra in the last week in their life? I wonder, I took algebra a couple of different places and in college too. And I don't recall ever using it in the last week or so, but I could, be wrong. So anyhow, let's get back on track here. Let's pretend that you got $24,000 of a Social Security benefit coming in annually between you and your wife. Just a number. Now, what kind of bucket of money, so to speak, what kind of an investment account would you need? And we'll use the 4% rule simply because we'll use it. We won't debate whether that rule is accurate or not. We've talked about that a lot on different programs. But we'll just say, what kind of pot of money do I need to generate $24,000 of annualized income in retirement? Because that's my Social Security benefit. And the answer to that is $600,000. $600,000 multiplied by 4% generates $24,000 of Social Security benefit or pension benefit, whatever you're calculating. So when you look at this, is really an interesting way to look at your retirement plan, because I do meet people who say, well, we haven't saved enough. All we have is Social Security, an IRA, and we got a small pension. And when we try to put this in perspective, saying, let's pretend for your Social Security money, if you will, that you have a crazy uncle and he has left you a bunch of money, but he doesn't trust you one bit to spend it all at one time. So he's saying, I'll give it to you over the rest of your life. So your crazy uncle set up a trust fund just for you. And he said, when you get to be full retirement age, let's say it's 66, we will send you and your wife $24,000 a year. We'll adjust it a little bit for cost of living, inflation over time, but that'll be the starting point for you. Guess how much money he left in that trust for you to produce the $24,000? $600,000. So here's a real nugget that'll help you quit beating yourself up that you say you haven't saved enough. You have. You worked all your life and put money in the Social Security system. Think of it as a bucket of money your weird uncle won't let you have, but he'll give it to you month by month, year by year for as long as you live. So that's one of the ways to look at Social Security. It's one of the ways to look at your pension plan. You actually have saved in a kind of a different way. That way, if you think about that, you don't bang yourself on the head with a hammer and say, mighta, coulda, shoulda. So you figure out what your spending income plan is, what's your guaranteed money coming in. If the spending plan is bigger than the guaranteed income, predictable income plan, you have what's called an income gap. That's the difference between what you need to maintain your lifestyle on a monthly basis and what's coming in from Social Security pensions or other annuity accounts. That's the part that we have to figure out how to fill. Well, how do we fill that gap? There's a lot of ways to do it. This is where creating an investment strategy can work, because if you know, for example, if you need $5,000 a month from all sources, that's your spending plan, and you only have $3,000 a month coming in from all the guaranteed income places, you have a $2,000 a month income gap, $24,000 a year. Where are you going to get that money from? What are you going to do to generate it? It used to be 20 years ago, we could put money in a CD and get 5 or 6%, and they'd give you a toaster if you gave them enough money. Those days are long gone. I know everybody says, I wish we could get that kind of rate from our CDs now, but let me tell you something. If CD rates now were to around 1%, ever just blossom to 5 or 6, wow, do we have an inflationary problem going on in our country? So be careful, I guess, what we wish for in terms of interest.
Well, you mentioned that the world seems upside down, and it's difficult to kind of fathom that we don't want an increase in interest rates from where we are right now. But I think the problem with inflation is already kind of bad enough that we can just be satisfied with where things are, at least for the present time being.
But that, just kind of off the subject of it, inflation is a real problem in our life today.
Yeah.
The government defines it one way, which is really to their advantage. But we know, I read an article a couple of months ago, and I think it makes great sense. And it was written by an economist. And one of the things he said is a great way to judge real inflation in our lives is to figure out what we're paying for groceries today versus a year ago, what we're paying for gas today versus a year ago. He said those are two of the greatest inflation predictors around. I mean, the CPI that the government does is a convoluted mishmash of different theories and ideas. But we know that in real life, inflation is a much bigger problem than what the government is telling us it is. So that's a little nugget. If you want to know what real inflation is, just kind of check out the prices at the grocery store today versus what you remember them from a year ago, perhaps. And that gives you a real good idea of what's going on.
But the government doesn't even include that. They can include consumer goods, not usually including the cost for the grocery store trips or energy or education or healthcare. So the things that actually go up in price seem to be the things that they've sort of...
They don't include energy and groceries, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And they modify what kind of numbers they use, say for technology, education, housing costs, things like that. That's a whole nother program to just go through all the mysteries of the CPI. Maybe one day we can do that. So we define our spending income plan. We take a look at where the source of income coming in. What's that gap? That's the gap we have to fill with an investment strategy of some kind. And what I try to help folks understand, and this will give you great peace of mind, you have two choices when it comes to creating an investment strategy. You put money in your 401k, you transfer it to an IRA, and now you have to make that give you some income. One strategy is to say, I want to go for the gusto. I'm going to, quote, trust the market, because no matter what happens, ups and downs in the market always goes up. And that's simply the best place for me to put my retirement money to fill the income gap. That's one strategy. Another strategy is a little more subtle. It asks the question, what's the least amount of risk I need to take to get the money I need to fill my income gap? Those are two really different questions. One says, let's just go for the gusto. It's a plan built on hope. I hope it works. I hope it keeps going up, this market, and I hope I'm okay. The other plan says, there's a lot of risk out there in the world, whether we're in good times or bad times. So what's the least amount of risk I need to take to get what I want, to get my income plan put together, the spending gap? How do I do that? I joke with people sometimes, and I go back, and maybe I'm the only one who ever did this, but as young kids, we used to play this game when we'd find a pond, and we would bet, kind of as kids would do, who can go the farthest out on that pond without falling through.
Sounds like a good game.
Yeah.
Parent approved.
I'm a product of a misspent youth. So I can remember walking out there step by step by step, and you start to hear cracks, and maybe it would get a little soft, and you might stop there. So then your friend had to go farther than you. And it was a great game we played. And sometimes we broke through the ice and we only went up to our boots. I wore 6-buckle boots as a kid. Man, that tells me I'm old, doesn't it? 6-buckle boots. Wow. I don't even think they sell them anymore. And sometimes we went up to our waist, because you can never tell how deep a pond is simply by looking at the ice over it. But that's kind of the way we deal at times, I think, as people with the stock market, is we want to make sure we get out there as far as we can to get all we can and can all we get, rather than saying, you know what, I only have to go halfway out there and I'm good with that. I really am. So the question everybody has to answer, do I want all the gusto? Because you get all the gusto, you get all the other stuff too. Or do I want to take the least amount of risk when I create my investment strategy to get what I need? What does that mean? In simplest terms, you can create an investment strategy that's designed hopefully to return 10% a year. You can do that. You just go back and say, well, historically, these have provided 10% a year over the past 10 years or something like that. Or you can say, you know what? I know that if I can get, say, 4% or 3% on my money that I invest in the stock market, I can get the income gap filled. You know, I'll have a whole lot more peace of mind and less stress. I think that's a good strategy. So it really makes a lot of sense to ask yourself that question. Do I want all the gusto? Because it's a valid option. Do I want all the other stuff that goes with it? Or do I want to say, I'm going to plan that gives me what I need, taking the least amount of risk? So it's an important thing to talk about in filling that spending income gap thing going on.
We've been taught that we need to take more risk. And unfortunately, sometimes the more risk you take, you're breaking through that ice. And not every time do you win that game, Ron.
Well, here's the other thing is, okay, you can take more risk because we've been taught I can't make money unless I risk money. There's some truth to that. But there's risk in everything, Peter. Think about this. You could take all your $10 million, that $10 million that you have, and you could put it in a 10-pound coffee can. You'd get at Costco, one of the big ones, because it needs that much to fill all that money. And you could bury it in the backyard. In 5 years, you go back, you still got all your money there. But what's the real risk to you? You didn't tell your wife where you buried it, and you just got some sort of dementia issue, and you forgot where you buried it. It's a total loss. So we can't get away from risk. The question is, how much should we take on to get what we want? You know, when I'm thinking about this, when I was a young man and I didn't quite know what I wanted to do when I grew up, I had several jobs. One of the jobs I had was working in a factory on a punch press. Pretty interesting work. I mean, you could get lulled to sleep on that. But back then, there weren't any guards on the presses. And you would always see guys, or hear about guys that lost a finger, lost a hand, lost an arm, because they kind of fell asleep at the switch. But these were guys that you could still make a good living back then in a factory job as a punch press operator. So I did that work. A couple times I came close to losing some of my body parts. Then I took a job in a cement plant and did a whole bunch of other work, or heavy labor kind of stuff. Drove an end loader, which was really fun for a while. There was some other risk involved in that. Then I went to college. And, if I didn't have the draft, I'd probably still be in college. It was a good time. It took me a while to get out of college, but I finally got out of it. See, the point is that I worked a lot of different jobs that had different amount of risk in it. And the punch press job paid the best of working in a cement plant. And it paid the best of when I was a shoe salesman for Kenny Shoes. So there was risk involved, but I was willing to take that risk for the money. It's the same thing when it comes to our retirement plan. How much risk are you willing to take to get what you need? Not necessarily what you want, but to get what you need. And what you need is to fill that income gap so that you have all the money coming in every month to meet your spending plan. See, I like that word, spending plan. That's good, Peter. So that's what we're trying to do here. And that's one of the key steps to not only being successful, but remember, I started the program with saying, how do we get some peace of mind with all the craziness going around? How do we get some stability in our life so we don't wake up every moment of every day worrying about what's going to happen here, what's going to happen there, what's going to happen to our retirement money? So if some of this is making sense, give us a call, 616-301-2581, 616-301-2581, or go to our website, www.cornerstone-rp.com. Let us know you want us to call you or get in contact with you or send you these 10 steps to prepare for retirement. And more than happy to help you. That's what we do. we're here to help.
Well, again, if you would like the list of the 10 steps to prepare for retirement, or if you would like to go through these steps with the help of a team of qualified professionals, a certified financial planner, a CFP, Ron waives all charges for that initial review and consultation, the strategy session. He will help you craft your course to retirement, the physical document, the plan in your hands, so that you know how to address income and investments and taxation and healthcare and create that legacy that you would like for your family and loved ones. Those are the high level items, but he helps you to maximize Social Security, to make pension decisions, to minimize the fees that you are paying, to help understand and plan for taxation into the future, keep more of your hard-earned money. That's all part of that course to retirement planning review, the strategy session, and the crafting of your individual course to retirement. Again, if you'd like the list of the 10 steps to prepare for retirement, this is fantastic to go over on your own time with a family member, with a spouse, with a coworker that is talking about or thinking about retiring. Just call and request this list and hand it to them. They will appreciate it. Again, you can get the list, or you can have the time, you can reserve the time for the one-on-one review and the strategy session by calling 616-301-2581, 616-301-2581, 616-301-2581. And again, no cost, no obligation. Ron and team waiving all charges, all costs associated with that planning session. For listeners to the radio program, for viewers of the podcast, you can also always go online and get many resources that are available at cornerstone-rp.com, cornerstone-rp.com. Now, when we come back after the break, we'll try to move through a few more of these because we've made it through 3 of this list of 10 items, 10 steps to prepare for retirement. We'll come back. We'll talk about a few more of them after the break here on Your Course to Retirement with Grand Rapids Certified Financial Planner, Ron Courser. During the break, a great opportunity for you to call and request this list or to call and reserve your time for that complimentary review. 616-301-2581, 616-301-2581. We'll be right back.
Cornerstone Retirement Partners presents Your Course to Retirement with Grand Rapids Certified Financial Planner Ron Courser and Nolan Gosley. Cornerstone Retirement Partners are planning today for the potential of tomorrow. Visit cornerstone-rp.com for many valuable resources, including those mentioned on this show and other great episodes of Your Course to Retirement.
And we're back here on Your Course to Retirement with Grand Rapids, resource for that common sense approach to planning and the availability of the list of the 10 steps to prepare for retirement. He is Ron Courser, certified financial planner and the founding member there at Cornerstone Retirement Partners. If you would like that list of the 10 steps to prepare for retirement, pick up the phone now and give a call, 616-301-2581, 616-301-2581, or go online, cornerstone-rp.com. Lots of great resources available online there, cornerstone-rp.com. But Ron, we are moving through this list of 10 steps to prepare for retirement, trying to bring a little levity and clarity to this crazy economic and turbulent financial world that we are living in, where we have a new concern and a new worry around every corner. Taxes, inflation, low interest, market volatility. The list could go on and on. People are rightfully worried and concerned, but if we follow the steps in this list, we could probably address and reduce or eliminate a lot of those worries.
Yeah, you really can. And that's the purpose of going through it. There are 10 steps to retirement. Again, if you'd like this list, just give us a call at 616-301-2581 or go to our website, www.cornerstone-rp.com, and we'll send it to you. And the purpose of this whole program and this list is just to bring some clarity to what we're trying to do, but also to give everybody a little peace of mind, to give them a sense of control in what is turning out to be a very out of control kind of world we're living in. So we've gone through 5 of them so far. We've defined our spending plan, which Peter recognized is not the budget, it's the spending plan. And I like that a lot better. We defined how much income is coming in from guaranteed sources, Social Security, pension, other annuities. We find the difference between those two is the income gap if the spending plan is more than the guaranteed money coming in. We talked about how Social Security is an important part of the guaranteed money. And then we formulate an income plan, which how are we going to get the difference between our spending plan and what we know is coming in guaranteed from those sources. And the next part that we're going to talk about, the last 5, is understanding risk exposure, because we've touched on having to build some sort of investment plan that hopefully gives us what we need with the least amount of risk. That's what we do philosophically in our company. It's how do we take the least amount of risk to get what you want? And it's always what you want. To understand your risk exposure, how do we calculate and deal with taxes? Those apparently are going to go through the roof here when this current administration gets done with us. Consolidating accounts, make sure we kind of bring them together in a way that's more manageable than having 6 or 8 of different things. Think about inflation. What are we going to do about that? And what about our estate plan, and specifically the legal documents? So we're going to touch on those. So the next part is understanding your risk exposure when it comes to creating an investment plan for yourself. There's 2 ways to do this. And I always ask people when they come into our office for the first time, when you sat with your current advisor and you ask him about how much risk do you have and you're taking, what did he tell you? Invariably, what I hear is people say, well, I'm in a lot of different places. I have diversification and I don't have too much risk. And my response to that is, you don't have too much risk. Does that mean if the market's correct, you'll lose 5% or 55%? And they look at me kind of like, what is this, a trick question? And I said, no, it's not. See, you can actually measure stock market risk and bond risk. You can put a number to it, like a speed limit sign. And how do you measure the risk in your portfolio? So you know something really simple. Am I taking, no matter how diversified I am in my allocation, do I have more than basic market risk? Say, based on the S&P 500, do I have about the same, or do I have less? If you have an investment strategy that has several different pieces to it, maybe I've seen as many as 20, and it turns out that you have the same amount of risk as just an S&P 500 fund or the market, my question is, why are you taking on all the extra expense of all these different things when you could just have a simple S&P 500 index fund? And that's going to give you the same result. If it goes up, you'll make money. If it goes down, you won't. But you're going to pay a whole lot less for that strategy. So then the question becomes, if you want less market risk, how do you create a portfolio? How do you create an investment strategy that will give us the best chance to get what we want with the least amount of risk? That's where we really can help you. We can help create risk-adjusted portfolios that have the best chance of giving you what you want on a day in, day out basis. And yet when we know the ultimate volatility or strategy happens and all this stuff goes on around us, we know that we're not going to go take the dump with the market. There's going to be a buffer there. That's what we do. That's what we're really good at, ladies and gentlemen, to create those kinds of plans for risk-adjusted returns to give you what you want. If this sounds like something you'd be interested in knowing more about, give us a call, 616-301-2581, 616-301-2581, or go to our website, www.cornerstone-rp.com, www.cornerstone-rp.com. Put in your name and number, we'll get to you, and we'll help you out with all of these questions that probably are on your mind right now.
Now, I think that's a great point, Ron, is that we do need to understand our risk exposure. And we've been told we need to have these diversified portfolios. But oftentimes, when you do your analysis, when you run that risk assessment, that diversified portfolio carries with it no less risk than the broader market index, and sometimes significantly more risk. Another aspect of that is that if we set that allocation in place 5 years ago or 10 years ago, and then the market has done its job and our money and our accounts that are tied to the market have grown, well, as a result, now we have significantly more risk than we originally set forth, than we originally had designed the plan to include, because the risk side of that portfolio has grown. So one of the things that I think is inherently hard for the average investor is understanding and quantifying the amount of risk that they actually hold with their money, and really drilling down on how much do I expect to make, but more importantly, how much could I potentially lose if there is a market downturn? And then what is the result of that on my outlook? It's not written in red or even black and white on the top of our statements that you've got the potential to lose 30, 40, 50% in the next market downturn. But that is something that you help people quantify and better understand. And I think that is one of the most important elements of the course to retirement planning, especially as we all are so concerned with the possibility of where the market may be heading into the near future.
That's a great point. Here's how I try to define this, and I'm going to take a couple of minutes to give you an example. Defining risk, particularly stock market risk, think about it as a speed limit sign. And the speed limit for the stock market is 70 miles an hour, S&P 500. Actually, the statistical name for that is beta, B-E-T-A, and the market is 1.0. But think of it as a speed limit sign. So here in Grand Rapids, it's a sunny day, life is good, no snow yet, trees are turning colors, it's gorgeous. One of the things about living in Michigan, man, is you live here in the fall, it is beautiful, downright beautiful. So you're going east from Grand Rapids to Lansing, Michigan, speed limit 70, pavement's dry, it's a sunny day. You can drive 95. I know people drive 95 miles an hour, even though the speed limit's 70. I mean, I've passed those people on several occasions. So I know it happens. So you can drive 95 miles an hour. What happens? You'll get to your destination sooner. You can spend more time with friends and family if that's why you were going there. Or the other option is that you'll meet a state employee and he'll bust you for reckless driving. The third option is that you'll have a wreck and crash. You won't kill yourself, you just mess yourself up. But you have those options. You can go faster than the speed limit. You can go have more risk than the stock market. And when life is good, pavement's dry, the sun is shining, it's a wonderful experience. The problem comes when the market rolls over. So think about in Michigan this past year, in February, we got 17 inches of snow in 11 days. You're still on your way from Grand Rapids to Lansing. Speed limit is still 70 miles an hour. There's 6 inches on the ground, 4 more is coming, snow's blowing sideways. Speed limit is still 70. You're behind an 18-wheeler praying that he can see where he's going. And maybe you're going 20 miles an hour. But you can try to go faster in that environment, can't you? Now, I suggest that if you do, you're going to end up on one side of the road or the other. But you can do that. So you see, speed limits have a lot to do with what's going on around us in the environment. What's the weather like? Risk in the portfolio is a lot like a speed limit sign. Does it make sense to go faster? Does it make sense to go slower? It depends on what the world is like. But if I'm driving to Lansing, good times or bad times, and I have one decision to make, I'm going to go there to get there with the least amount of risk. I'm going to go the speed limit, probably, or less than the speed limit, to get where I want to go so that I don't meet a state employee and get busted for reckless driving. I don't wreck and crash my car. I get to where I'm going safe and sound. Isn't that the way we want our investment portfolio to work? Don't we really want it to get us to where we're going safe and sound with no drama, with no excitement? And that's what we can help people do. We can help create investment plans for you that have the least amount of risk to get you where you want to go. And that's probably the best strategy that there is for any of us, because it makes sure that come bad weather, good weather, we can get to where we're trying to go safely and soundly. That's what a strong, sound investment plan does for somebody, to input that, to create the need and the money to solve that income gap that we need. So understanding risk is really important, but it only makes sense if we understand it in light of what we're trying to create as an investment strategy, and we can help you with that.
Ron, another risk that we have that we really need to understand our level of exposure to, and then it may actually even be easier to forecast this one out and control it, is the legislative risk of taxation. Where are taxes going to be heading into the future, and how can we calculate the best or the most efficient way to create the income that we need, that spendable income, understanding that in order to get spendable income out of those retirement accounts, there's a tax bill associated with each and every withdrawal.
Yeah, taxes are a big cost in retirement. I mean, they're a big cost to us while we're working, but they become even a bigger cost in retirement. Why is that? Because for most of us, a lot, if not all of the money that we need to fill that income gap, and that investment strategy to give us the money we need every month to maintain our spending plan and our lifestyle, a lot of that money, sometimes for people, all of that money is coming out of a tax deferred account, a 401k, 403b, and IRA. That money has never been taxed. So every time a dollar comes out of it, the federal government, the state government, the local governments get a piece of it. It's been estimated that going forward, like a couple, say somebody retires at 65 and they live to say 85, 87, which is kind of normal, about 35 to 40% of their IRA money or 401k money is going to be lost to taxes, federal, state, and local. That's an enormous number, an enormous number. And we know from the world around us, one of the great uncertainties is that we have a government that's absolutely wants to increase what we pay in taxes. And here's the dirty secret about taxes, ladies and gentlemen. This is not a political statement. It's just the way the world works. Politicians always tell us we're only going to tax the rich. Well, how do you know if you're rich? Here's the key question to ask you. You can ask yourself to find out if you're rich. Here's the question. Do you have money? If you answered yes to the question, do you have money, the government considers you rich and they're going to tax you. It's that simple. The other part is that most taxes always come down on the middle class in America. We could, for example, take all the money from all the rich people, all the basketball players, Hollywood stars, Bill Gates, Warren Buffett, just take their money. Forget about taxing them. We don't have enough money to run our country for 1 year. Isn't that amazing? So how is taxing the rich going to help? Well, it's going to mean that they're going to tax the middle class and the lower middle class, people who have taxable income of any kind coming out of IRAs and such. So managing that tax bill is really important going forward. We're in the lowest environment we are probably for the rest of our life in terms of what we pay in tax. It can only go one way, and that's up. That's just my opinion. So how we manage our money now in anticipation of higher tax rates is really critical in developing a sound retirement plan. And ladies and gentlemen, if you would like help doing this, we can help you. We can help you create the most tax efficient investment and spending plan that we can do. So give us a call at 616-301-2581, 616-301-2581, or go to our website, www.cornerstone-rp.com. Just put your information in there and we'll help you. Because I tell you, the tax man's coming and he is an equal opportunity taxer. So we have to be prepared for it. You know, I tell people it's kind of like being prepared for winter here in Michigan. We know it's coming. Here it is. We're in the beautiful part of fall, but we know December, January, February, March are coming to Michigan. And sometimes they can be kind of ugly. So not many of us are going down to the local store and buying a new set of, flip-flops and a swimming suit in anticipation of winter coming. We're getting ready for winter. So let's get ready for the tax winter that I think is coming down the road. Give us a call. We can help you develop tax efficient strategies to help you get through what's coming. Give us a call, 616-301-2581, 616-301-2581. Go to our website, www.cornerstone-rp.com.
Proactive risk management and tax management through education and understanding, and then formulating a proactive plan with a team of qualified, experienced professionals. That's part of your course to retirement, part of the 10 steps to prepare for retirement. If you would like this list of those important 10 steps to address and tackle, and you can download it. You can receive it by email. You can go over it on your own time. You can discuss all of these 10 factors and steps with a spouse, a family member, a loved one, completely on your own, confidentially, or you can set up a time for a one-on-one review and strategy session to go over these with the team from Cornerstone Retirement Plan. Your choice, but give a call now if you'd like this list. 616-301-2581, 616-301-2581, or you can go online, cornerstone-rp.com, cornerstone-rp.com. The next one on the list, Ron, I am sort of curious about, but it may go back to the understanding the risk exposure and your discussion about having 20 mutual funds may be no better off than having one S&P index fund, but consolidating like qualified accounts. I know a lot of people have taken advantage of 401ks, and they're beautiful because they happen automatically and they're sort of out of sight, out of mind, but perhaps sometimes they're so out of sight, out of mind that becomes detrimental because we leave them behind and then forget they're there.
Yeah.
Is this step just sort of a roundup and a little bit of house cleaning before we retire?
For most people, it is a question of how do I manage all these things? As human beings, believe it or not, even if we're spreadsheet oriented, we like simplicity. We don't like confusion. That's why people, that's why the engineers in our firm, our clients, that's why they do spreadsheets. My wife is a spreadsheeter. She likes control, and in her brain that simplifies things. It lets her know everything's going on. So the other issue is that, if somebody has 3 IRAs and 2 old 401ks from previous employers, that's a lot of balls to juggle. And it also may mean, because you have so many of these other accounts, you actually may be paying more for these accounts or on these accounts than you really need to if you consolidated your IRAs, assuming they're all IRAs and not Roth IRAs. So you can have 3 different kinds of investment accounts, and only 3. There's a tax-deferred account. That could be a 401k or an IRA. If you've retired, most people take their 401k and move it into an IRA. It's a tax-deferred account. You can have taxable accounts, brokerage accounts, CDs at the bank, anything that generates a 1099. It's pretty liquid money, but there is some taxable to it. The only other kind of account still in existence, we have tax deferred, not really taxed, just kind of 1099 tax, and then we have tax free. Those are Roth accounts. Very important. So if you have only 3 kinds of accounts, maybe you want to consider not having 18 or 20 different kinds of strategies or statements in there, and consolidate them. You can then probably save money on investment costs, but also increase your level of control. And to make sure that, the problem with having 4 different IRA accounts invested in a market is you may think you're diversified, but you may not be diversified at all because all 4 accounts hold similar kinds of things. So it's important to go through that review and just say, what makes sense to keep, what makes sense to maybe flush out of the account, and how many of these accounts do we really need? So it's an important thing to look at, and we can help. And then that leads to the next question of what are we going to do about inflation? We kind of touched on inflation earlier in the program, but how do you plan? How do you game plan, so to speak, for inflation? Because we know it's there. And particularly for people in retirement, I tell people in my age bracket and my generation, my inflation numbers are different from my grandchildren's. My inflation numbers have a lot to do with the cost of food, the cost of energy, and healthcare. It's just a simple fact of life. Now, I'm still working. So yes, we do have the income tax issue going on. But people who are retired, they have a different, what I call different CPI, a different consumer price index number than somebody who's still working. Because we don't have control over healthcare costs. And yet we know we have to be on Medicare or we have to have some sort of insurance. And we also know that the older we get, the more we use our healthcare. So the cost of healthcare is really an important part of just dealing with this whole inflation issue, which leads us to what we do in our firm that's kind of unique compared to some others, is that my wife, Nancy, has her own staff here at Cornerstone Retirement Partners who deals with the healthcare issue for our clients. She does the Medicare planning. She's up to her eyebrows right now in the Medicare sign-up time. She's working 6.5 days a week, just trying to help everybody she can, dealing with the drug issues. You know, what are we going to do about this year's drug program? She can help people who aren't Medicaid eligible yet, but they need health insurance. It's a really big job. It's a really important piece of what we do when this whole thing of planning for retirement, helping our clients get through it. So we can do that. We can take the Social Security part we've talked about, this whole healthcare issue. What's the best Medicare plan for me if I'm over 65? Or what's the best plan for me if I'm under 65? My wife Nancy and her team can help you can make great decisions with her, and we can create with Nolan, my partner, and I, investment strategies. So all of this has to do, it does in an indirect way with inflation, because the better use we can make of your resources, the better we can kind of control the impact of inflation on you. What do I mean by that? People today can have a plan, a drug plan that they got last year. It seemed to really work. Now they got a new drug. Doctor just provided a new one, and that's $400 a month. That sounds like inflation to me. So my wife can help navigate that and see, is there another company out there with a drug plan that will minimize the cost of drugs, will minimize the cost of what you're paying for your meds, sup, and things like that. So we can help do that. And controlling inflation is difficult, but we can help you minimize the impact of it to the best of our ability. So if this is important to you, give us a call, please. Give us a call, 616-301-2581, 616-301-2581, or go to our website. And in this case, you say, Ron mentioned Nancy, she can help me with my Medicare or my healthcare. I want to talk to her, and we can get you kind of lined up and get you an appointment so that you can see her and her assistants. They will absolutely help you.
It is open enrollment season, and we've had Nancy on the program. She knows her stuff. She does a bang-up job with this, and I do encourage anybody that is within that window of initial enrollment, or to review your current coverage and make sure that you have the best plan for your situation. Absolutely, to give a call, 616-301-2581, 616-301-2581. And if I'm not mistaken, you can reach Nancy directly by hitting extension number 3. Now, anybody who answers the lines there at Cornerstone Retirement Partners is going to be able to get you to her. But again, 616-301-2581. Those are the numbers that you need to remember there. And obviously, Ron, Social Security, Medicare, those are two of the biggest pieces of planning for retirement. And we've touched both of those on this list here. But as we're wrapping it up, we've moved through almost all 10 now, reviewing and updating legal documents, another part of that. However, I don't think we're going to have time to get into a big discussion of that one. So if you would kind of wrap it all up.
Let me highlight it. Everybody has an estate. Everybody has an estate. So in planning for your estate, you need a couple things. Number one, have beneficiaries on all your money accounts, all your investment accounts, your banking and checking accounts. Have beneficiaries on them. If you have beneficiaries on a document for an asset, it will not be probated. Really important. Secondly, have a durable power of attorney. If you're a married couple, have a durable power for finance. Each one of you have it. As long as you're alive, if you're incapacitated, somebody else can step into your place and handle your financial affairs for you. So that's really important. The third part is have a medical power. Have somebody be able to make decisions for you, particularly if you're a single person. Who's going to make those decisions for you if you're down at the hospital and they're going to do everything they can to keep you alive? But what if they need to do something else? Who's going to stand in a gap for you to make those decisions? Those are 3 really important documents to have. Some people have them, some don't. So here's a little nugget. Take a look at your estate plan. Ask yourself some questions. Do I have beneficiaries on everything that's a financial asset? Banks, 401ks, IRAs. Secondly, do I have a durable power for finance in place? Thirdly, do I have a durable power for healthcare in place? You may also need a trust. There's a lot to work for that, but those are the 3 documents you need. We can help you with them. We don't do those are lawyer kinds of things, but we're smart enough to know help you out, introduce you to somebody who can help you. Give us a call, 616-301-2581. This has been a great program. Be of good cheer. I think as America, we come out of this. It's just going to take us a while, and it's going to require everybody to say, you know what? Stop it. Just stop it to the stuff that's going on out there. So bless all of you today. Have a blessed Sunday, and I'll see you next week.
Always a pleasure speaking with Ron Corser. Again, if you would like the list of the 10 steps to prepare for retirement, or if you would like to go over these with a team of qualified professionals, including a certified financial planner for your own specific situation, give that call now, 616-301-2581, 616-301-2581. Ron's looking forward to hearing from you. So long.
Tune into Cornerstone Retirement Partners' full radio program, Your Course to Retirement, Sunday mornings at 9 o'clock at News Radio WOOD, or visit cornerstone-rp.com for many valuable resources, including those mentioned on this show and other great episodes of Your Course to Retirement.
The content of this radio show is provided for informational purposes only and is not a solicitation or recommendation of any investment strategy. You are encouraged to seek investment, tax, or legal advice from an independent professional advisor.
Ed Slott's Elite IRA Advisor Group is solely an indication that the financial advisor has attended training provided by Ed Slott and Company, passed biannual examinations on material covered at conferences and in webinars, and met other membership requirements, and does not constitute an endorsement of any kind. Ed Slott's Elite IRA Advisor Group members pay a fee for the educational programs that allow them to be included in the Ed Slott's Elite IRA Advisor Group. Membership does not guarantee investment success. Fiduciary duty extends solely to investment advisory advice and does not extend to other activities such as insurance or broker-dealer services.
Advisory services offered through Brookstone Capital Management, a registered investment advisor.
Advisory clients are charged a quarterly fee for assets under management, while insurance products pay a commission, which may result in a conflict of interest regarding compensation.
Any investments and/or investment strategies mentioned involve risk, including the possible loss of principal. Any comments regarding safe and secure investments and guaranteed income streams refer only to fixed insurance products. They do not refer in any way to securities or investment advisory products. Annuity guarantees are based solely on the financial strength and claims-paying ability of the issuing company. Withdrawals or growth from annuities may be taxable as ordinary income in the year it is taken. Individuals should review contracts for specific details of the product's features and costs. Early withdrawals may subject the owner to penalties, fees, or taxes.